नमस्ते।
Namaste, sir. Yes, let us start. We will go ahead with the chantings of Omkar, requesting you all to sit with your spine erect, keep your shoulders proper, keep your chin parallel to the floor. Just allow the whole body to settle down. That's very nice of you. Slowly inhale. Gently open your eyes. So we are in this fourth chapter of Kaivalyapada, and we had done up to the 23rd sutra in the last class. If we revise it again to make ourselves understand where we were actually, then we should understand the 22nd sutra, which talks about the understanding and clarity about pure consciousness. It is very clear that pure consciousness is not transmissible. Chiteha aprati sanskaramaya tad akar pattau swabuddhi samavedanam. Though it is not transmissible, it seems to be one with intellect, and that is how it is the cause of the self-awareness, you can see. This sutra is like, making us understand can we know consciousness itself? How a Purusha, or you can say how the pure consciousness, to which experiences are due, is not mutable. Hence, pure consciousness is not transmissible. In the second chapter, we have already understood that the seer, the Purusha, is the pure Chetana Shakti, the pure consciousness. But it appears to see through the mind, through the Chitta. And this acquirement of consciousness by Chitta, or you can say the Buddhi, may be not real, but apparent. And I just discussed with you the example of a iron pin, which in the presence of magnet is acquiring the magnetic property and attracts the other iron filings. Chitta also becomes the secondary center of consciousness. The pure essence, you can say, is the one who is experiencing of being the self. And obviously, then the self appears to be experiencing the whole world, all the worldly objects, or you can say the chitta vrittis can be known through the chitta itself. And this is where the consciousness or the pure consciousness is modified. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. That is where we say that the cessation of the modifications of the mind will lead to tadadrashtu swarupe avasthan. It will lead to this swarup avastha, where the pure consciousness stays in itself. So here the pure consciousness stops functioning through its various agencies, you can say. And thereby the buddhi, the I consciousness, turns towards its source and becomes aware of the Purusha. The source itself is Purusha. So our I consciousness is found to be getting dissolved into pure consciousness. So this is how here the whole understanding, okay, how chitta is the secondary center of the consciousness, or you can say how it is in the form of buddhi, we know that the consciousness can be understood. Now I am seeing. So I say I can see through my eyes, but I never say that it is the consciousness in me which makes me to see through my eyes. This I see through the eyes has to stop. And it is the consciousness through which I can see through my eyes has to come into consideration. The term which is given here, apratisankramayaha, it literally means the absence of the interaction with many objects through the mind, through the senses, through the intellect. And this is how the consciousness seems to identify or connect with the objective world. And for a yogi to know the consciousness itself, he has to withdraw from the external functioning of the chitta, or you can say the modification of chitta, and go within. And that is where we are going towards super consciousness through samadhi. And eventually the yogi merges with it. Or you can say the supreme reality is revealed. Next, we are coming to drashtru drishyo paraktam chittam sarvartham. The drashtru, that is the purusha, the drishya, that is prakriti, They are always coloring our chitta. The experiences of the external world or the material around is nothing but the coloring. So coloring is like, and taking or having the process of knowledge. For any kind of knowledge, mind is or mind must be colored by that object. And that object is coloring the mind, no doubt. But at the same time, it also be illuminated by the Purusha as the conscious principle. When the mind interacts with any object and gets modified, it's called the coloring of the mind. Or you can say the chitta vritti, which thus produced is certainly illuminated by the Purusha Tattva. And we can say that this is how the chitta is acquiring the power of cognition. So I gave you only one understanding of eyes. Okay? The seeing through the eyes is not because of the eyes, but it is because of the consciousness in the body which makes the eyes to see. And this coloring, which is simultaneously happening with the drashtu and the drishya, the seer and the seen, as it is explained here, it not only knows the object, but simultaneously there is also this understanding that I know the object, as I was telling you. So, in other words, you can say that the mind becomes aware of the object, but at the same time, it is having the self-awareness. In samadhi, friends, when we are practicing dharana, dhyan, leading ourselves into deep understanding of samadhi, in samadhi, this self, or you can say this self-awareness which we are talking about, is of the experiential I-ness. Because of samadhi, this experiential or this empirical understanding of I sense vanishes. Hence, through samadhi, the yogi, the seer, is able to reach the very source of the knowledge, and that is Purusha. Through mind, we can know the object when it is outward oriented. At the same time, the mind has the capacity to know the self also. How and when? If it is turned inward. So the mind, you can say it is all comprehensive. We have understood the concept of Grahitru Grahana Grahayeshu in the first chapter, 41st Sutra. Shina Vritter Abhijatasyev Mane Grahitru Grahana Grahayeshu Tatstha Tad Anjanata Samapattihi. That is the process of Samapatti through which in Samadhi we are going ahead and knowing. In Vyasa Bhashya, it is pointed out that yogis who are able to discern the Triputi, the Grahitru, the Grahana, the Grahya, that is the knower, the process of knowledge, and the object. The yogis goes beyond all this thing to attain that discriminative knowledge, which makes us understand the process of external and the internal. And the yogi also realizes that the worldly knowledge is only due to the induced consciousness that has illuminated the modification of the mind because of its coloring by the object. And this is only relative, not real actually. As we are understanding this whole process of the changeover of the chitta from external to internal, and we are understanding the role of the seer and the seen, that is Purusha and Prakriti, in its process of cognition. There, Patanjali Muni says in the 24th Sutra, Tad Sankhyeya, sorry, not Tad Asankhyeya, not reading it properly, Tad Asankhyeya Vasanabhihi Chitram Api Parartham Sauhatyakaritvat. The chitta or the mind, though diversified with various vasanas, asankheya vasanabhihi, chitram api parartham, though the mind is diversified with innumerable vasanas, still exists for Purusha, since it acts in its collaboration. So we have already understood earlier that all the activities of the mind are for giving us the experience of bhoga, and at the same time, it is to lead us towards apavarga, to liberation. So the Purusha is going through the understanding of bhoga as well as apavarga. So the mind is the reason behind its bhoga, and the mind is its very reason to knowing the truth. In Vyasabhashya commentary, there is an example given about the house. A particular house doesn't exist for itself, but for the residence of someone else. And a house has many parts, as you all know: kitchen, bedroom, hall, bathroom, and so on. Collectively, all these parts make a house, and they all are existing for the sake of the owner who is residing in it. In the very similar way, the chitta is also an assembly. It functions in varieties of ways. It thinks, it remembers, it feels, it has innumerable desires. But all these functions and vasanas are for the sake of the single entity. In ordinary person, this single identity is I, the I-ness, the I sense. So in all the ideas like I feel, I think, I remember, I desire, the I collaborates all experiences. And that is what it means with Sanhatya Karitvat. But from a common man, as a yog sadhak is slowly on the verge of becoming a yogi, and that power of discrimination coming to you, he knows that this I is only secondary center of consciousness. All those vasanas of the mind which leads to bhoga, experiences. Every vasana, they are going to lead us towards that bhoga. Seeking apavarga, that is liberation, a yogi always knows that all these vasanas are really actually directed towards the Purusha only. The real desire is to seek him. And that is why when one goes on satisfying worldly desires, one is never satisfied. Ye dil mange more wala concept. We all know that desires can never be fulfilled. They will never come to satiation. But when the mind through discrimination goes to the very root of all the desires, the mind realizes that the only desire is to work for going towards Purusha. And with this realization, what is going to happen? All the desires are going to get dissolved. So this is how this understanding, very well given here, okay, how a person will be on the verge of experiencing Kaivalya, how a person needs to very importantly bring this science of discrimination, because we need to discriminate between the seer and the seen. And that is where we are coming to the aspect of Sakshi Bhav, or I should say the witness. And if you read the 25th Sutra, it says, Vishesha Darshina Atma Bhava Bhavana Vinivritti. For a person with a discriminative state of mind, I consciousness stands withdrawn. Vishesha Darshina. Vishesha Darshina is a yogi with special insight, you can say. This discriminative power makes that yogi see clearly the distinction between I consciousness, the Atma Bhava, and the pure consciousness, the Purusha. So, Atma Bhava Bhavana Vinivritti. So, this discrimination is so important for us to develop with the practice of yoga. Initially, we are doing yoga for the sake of the body. Later on, we go beyond the healing of the body and start understanding that the healing of the body is essential to know the truth. And we do not get stuck in only the body, but we are also seeking the truth. And a time comes that we need to make a proper distinction between the two. So Vishesha Darshina is the one who has attained this discriminative enlightenment. इसलिए तो पतंजलि मुनि ने कहा ना, योग अंग अनुष्ठानाद अशुद्धि शये ज्ञान दीप्तिरा vivek khyati. So that vivek khyati will come to a person with that vishesha darshina, which makes him to see that though the mind seems to be striving for the satisfaction of one's own desires, it is really acting for the sake of Purusha. As we read in the previous sutra also, a yogi realizes that the source of I consciousness is Purusha, and the feeling of the individuality, that is Atma Bhava, is only because of that avidya, that ignorance, or I should say, lack of awareness. Once the sense of individuality is born, फिर क्या है, हमारी पूरी जिंदगी मैं, मेरा, मैंने किया, मैंने बनाया, इसी के आजू बाजू हम घूमते रहते हैं. But what happens with that discriminative understanding? All the ideas of me and mine dissolves, and it dissolves forever. Atma bhava bhavana vinivritti. It is like, uh, it is the death of the ego consciousness, you can say. If there is a death of ego consciousness, there is a birth of something else, and that is the birth of universal consciousness. तो एक तरफ हमारा ईगो अगर खत्म होता है तो दूसरी तरफ all pervading sense comes into us. And in Vyasa Bhashya also, we see and come across certain characteristics of a yogi who is into this Vishesha Darshana. We all should read Narad Bhakti Sutra. In those Bhakti Sutras, very small text of 85 sutra, but very well explained, making us understand a yogi who is having such kind of insight, whenever he listens to the glory of the Supreme, the tears will start flowing from his eyes. His hair will stand on the end of his body. Such a yogi is certainly witnessing what the world process as Prakriti Leela, as a play of Prakriti, and his me and mine is replaced by thou. He remains only a Sakshi, an onlooker to all the life experiences. So when we say Atma Bhava, this Atma Bhava vanishes, and what is born? The Sakshi Bhava is born. तो वो साक्षी भाव के लिए वो सरेंडरिंग, वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत जरूरी होता है. तो मैंने ऐसी सर से कहा कि सर इसका मतलब अल्टीमेटली वी हैव टू डू दैट सरेंडर ओनली ना. Ultimately we have to come to that understanding that only you are the reality and nothing else, and we have to surrender to the self. तो कहीं ना कहीं हम ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते कि कर्म योग बड़ा है या ज्ञान योग बड़ा है या भक्ति योग बड़ा है. The great Lokmanya Tilak, during the time of the freedom struggle, he made Bhagavad Gita as a karma yoga shastra. But at the same time, we need to understand how bhakti yoga has been explained in that text. And when this kind of feeling comes in, Patanjali Muni says in the next sutra, Tada vivek nimnam kaivalya prag bharam chittam. Then the chitta is inclined towards discrimination and the gravitation towards liberation. So inclination towards discrimination, वही झुकाव, वही खिंचाव towards liberation is created. So when a yogi acquires this Vishesha Darshana, the special insight, as we read earlier sutra, he experiences a kind of paradigm shift in the force of attraction that is possessing Atma Bhava, the I consciousness. It is always going to catch up with the material world. And in the same first chapter, Abhyas Vairagya Abhyam Tan Nirodha, in that Vyasa Bhashya claims, or I should say, has compared Chitta with a river that flows in both the directions. What does Vyasa say? कि it flows in both the direction. What does that mean? We can say that it can flow in both the direction. It can flow towards the sense objects, as well as at the same time, it can flow with the practice of yoga and renunciation. As the viveka develops, the discriminative knowledge will make the chitta nadi to flow, the chitta nadi to flow upwards towards its source and make it merge with the ocean of consciousness. तो वो जो flow है, that goes ahead and merges with the ocean, and that ocean is the ultimate Purusha. So that is where we say that we have acquired the complete knowledge, or we can say that the isolation of the Purusha from Prakriti has taken place, and he says that this is Kaivalya. Tachidresu pratyantarani sanskarebhya. The latent impressions, the sanskaras, which create a kind of, obstacle, or you can say the leakages in the discriminative knowledge, resulting in the mental modification. Pratyantarani, mental modifications. All the pratyayas we are coming to. So the latent impressions, the sanskaras, they create the leakages in that discriminative knowledge. And as this is resulting in this kind of mental modification, somewhere the yogi, maybe you and me, we are always in that dvandva, that struggle that a yogi faces, even in the stage of going towards Kaivalya, the borderline, you can say. A tinge of individual consciousness is produced due to that latent impression, which has been acquired through various janmas, so many cycles of birth and death. And obviously, it is going to do rise to various experiences. The pratyaya, only a slight breach of this discriminative knowledge will again bring the feeling of individuality. I-ness फिर से आ जाता है. Though these breaches, when you are at this level of yoga, these breaches are like, momentary. And that state of awareness of the yogi is like being very watchful, unless this kind of latent sanskaras are totally eliminated. So when he says, Tachidreshu pratyantarani sanskarebhyah, so we should always be in the seeking of the discriminative knowledge, which is coming, the kind of modifications of the latent impressions making us slightly go away from Kaivalya. One should be in awareness. Oh, these are the impressions. These are there to pull us out, but we should not be getting, astrayed from our path. And that is where Patanjali says, Hanamesham kleshvad uktam. Unka elimination kaise hoga? It is through the same process described for the removal of the kleshas. Klesha vad uktam. Hanamesham, their elimination follows the same process, the way we have described the process of overcoming the kleshas. And how the kleshas were overcome? By the process of prati prasava. Te prati prasava heyaha sukshmaha. हमने पढ़ा है. If you go back to the second chapter, the 10th or 11th sutra, 12th से कर्म स्टार्ट हो जाता है. It is 9, 10, 11. 9 तक तो हम क्लेश पढ़ते हैं. 10th सूत्र, ते प्रति प्रसव हेयः सूक्ष्माः ध्यान हेयस तद्वृत्तयः. What we have to do? We have to practice dhyana in order to overcome this. Not only counter evolution, but also meditation. It is going to help us here and lead us away. So when we were studying kleshas, we understood that these kleshas are first up supposed to be made attenuated. कमजोर बनाना है उनको. कैसे कमजोर बनाएंगे? क्रिया योग से. और एक बार वो कमजोर हो गए, then they can be completely eliminated with this pratiprasava. It is like, meaning going backward or reverse to the original cause. और वहां लेके जाके दबा देना है इसको. The original cause we know, it is avidya. और वहीं दूसरे चैप्टर में we have also understood the uninterrupted discriminative knowledge is the means to overcome this avidya. वो डिस्क्रिमिनेटिव नॉलेज हमको बनाए रखना. सी द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ दैट विवेक ख्याति. The kleshas then become what you can say dagda, and they are burnt. The seeds cannot sprout again. The seeds of the kleshas will not sprout again. All the sanskaras, you can say, are burnt by this kind of observation, which we can say that they are burnt by the fire of discriminative knowledge. And once when this is done, a person is entering into a stage of dharma megha samadhi, which leads to kaivalya. And now this sutra becomes very important for all of us. Prasankhane api kusidasya sarvatha vivek khyate dharma megha samadhi. Prasankhane api kusidasya sarvatha vivek khyate. A yogi who is even not interested in the absolute knowledge attains, what you can say, a perpetual discriminative enlightenment. And that perpetual discriminative enlightenment is nothing but dharma megha samadhi. The ultimate absolute knowledge, we can say, is called as prasankhya. This is, you can call as the last hurdle on the path of kaivalya. The ultimate knowledge, or you can say the omniscience, is always accompanied by omnipotence. A yogi, as he becomes a master of the prakriti, omniscient and omnipotent, by having this kind of mastery, doesn't mean that you are free from prakriti. Sometimes this mastery of prakriti over prakriti is also an attachment with it. It creates, if not big attachment, subtle attachment. Because you have become a master of something which you cannot. The one which was ruling you, now you are having control on it. This is also an attachment. So this last bit of attachment can be overcome. जैसे हमने वैराग्य के डेफिनेशन में पढ़ा ना, तत्परम पुरुष ख्यातिर गुण वैतृष्ण्यम, and that is known as para vairagya, param vairagya. And that is needed to give up this absolute knowledge also, prasankhyane, which will lead to omniscience and omnipotence. So when completely withdrawn from that absolute knowledge, a yogi is going to attain that dharma megha samadhi. And that is the perpetual discriminative enlightenment, you can say. And this is the highest state of samadhi on the course towards Kaivalya. And when he comes to this level, he is said to be getting Jivan Mukta. He is becoming liberated. The Dharma Megha literally means Dharma. Megha is cloud. The cloud which is pouring virtue. Dharma Megha. And this is a very significant term, you can say. Full of that sublime meaning. As we say, just as the cloud gets separated from the earth and rises high up in the sky, a yogi gets completely detached from the world of Prakriti and perpetually stays in the highest state of consciousness. That is Dharma Megha Samadhi. Just as the cloud showers rain, we can say life-giving rain to us residing on earth. The Jivan Mukta in this Dharma Megha Samadhi is experienced, pours the virtue on the earth, and that virtue reflects in every action of a person who is Jivan Mukta, living liberated. He becomes the very embodiment of virtuousness. His life inspires many to walk on the path of spirituality. हमारे सामने कई एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, गौतम बुद्ध हैं और भी बहुत सारे हैं. Even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. If one really goes through the words of his Shishya, how he used to communicate with his people around him, we can say that when the cloud of the virtue is showering, the seeds of the eternal values that we call as our Sanatana Dharma will sprout, seeing everything as same, no discrimination there. So here, awakening the spiritual values, discovering the self within is what is known as dharma. धर्म का मतलब कोई जात पात तो है नहीं, ये जाति वो जाति ऐसा तो नहीं है. It is just to understand the Sanatana Dharma, how to awaken those values, and one who inspires others in this direction of spirituality is Dharma Megha. We have to go to that level, friends. We have to become completely detached from all the experiences of the material world. Be into it. Be in the muck, but the muck is not sticking to your body or not sticking to your conscience. This is how we can say, there is another significance of this word Dharma Megha. A yogi in this highest state of samadhi, passing through that Dharma Megha, a cloud before arriving at the supreme reality, he is seeing the supreme as if, जैसे हम लोग मिस्ट को देखते हैं ना, as if seeing through the mist. This is like a, I should tell you, हमारे मिस्टिसिज्म में ना एक टर्म आता है और उसको हम बोलते हैं डार्क नाइट ऑफ सोल. That dark night of soul is in mysticism known as that darkness which leads you to ultimate light. And this dark night of soul is a transitory phase in which the individual consciousness is on the verge of merging with the universal consciousness. And that's what Patanjali says in the next sutra. Tataha klesha karma nivrittihi. If you see the 30th one, it says Tataha klesha karma nivrittihi. जो क्लेश का बैगेज हम लेकर चल रहे हैं, क्लेश मूल कर्माशयो, ये दोनों से हम मुक्त हो जाते हैं. ततः मीन्स hence, thereby, release from afflictions and actions is taking place. So as a result of attainment of dharma mega samadhi, you can say that all the bondages created by the kleshas and the karmas are going to get annihilated, are going to get vanished. And as we have studied earlier, we all know that avidya is the source. Avidya is the source of all afflictions. So here, in this understanding of dharma mega samadhi, a kind of ultimate discriminative enlightenment, that's viveka khyati, even a slight trace of darkness due to avidya cannot be there. It cannot remain there. Avidya, being the root of all the kleshas, is uprooted. And as it gets uprooted, the kleshas vanish forever. So here, and the karmas are also connected here in the sutra. We need to know that kleshas and karmas are related. They are related to each other as cause and effect. Klesha mulaha karmashayo. Drishta adrishta janma vedaniya. The second chapter, 12th sutra. So when kleshas vanish, the karmashaya of the yogi is empty. And when the karmashaya of the yogi is empty, the yogi is freed from all the afflictions, all the kleshas. The yogi becomes jivan mukta. He is living, but he is liberated. So when I say this about jivan mukta, I should always tell you that a jivan mukta is there to help the whole humanity. जैसे हमने निर्माण चित्त पढ़ा ना, that jivan mukta can guide the artificial guide, can guide through his artificial mind the nirmana chitta, the whole humanity. He is then just a witness to the work done as per the divine understanding or divine plan, you can say. And what is this, friends? It is like action in inaction. जैसे हमने आसन के सूत्र में पढ़ा ना, प्रयत्न शैथिल्यम. See, you have to put in efforts, but Patanjali Muni says it should be done effortlessly. Effort is there, but the concept of effortlessness should also be there by getting into ananta samapatti bhyam, by submitting to the infinity. So here is the same thing, action in inaction. और ये action in inaction हमने भगवत गीता में भी पढ़ा है. We have understood there also as we were going through the lessons of Bhagavad Gita. So this is how the whole understanding of Nirmana Chitta, to keep us connected with the worldly things, but at the same time remaining aloof out of it towards the Dharma Mega, or you can say towards the Kaivalya. So Nirmana Chitta, you are creating an artificial mind which is connected with the material world, and it is carrying out its activity, but it is not affecting the true nature of the self. It is not at all coloring it. And once the kal of the body is done with, the person is forever into oneness with Purusha, you can say. स्वरूप अवस्था में आकर बस जाए. वैसे स्वरूप अवस्था तो आ गई है, बट भी फिर भी ये जो देह मुक्ति जो मिलनी चाहिए वो अभी तक नहीं मिली, जीवन मुक्ति मिली हुई है. So this concept of deha mukti and jivan mukti is very much relevant in a life of a yogi. So we need to come to that stage. And that's what Patanjali says when he talks about in the next sutra, tada sarva avaran malapetasya jnanasya anantyat jneyam alpam. Tada, then sarva avarana malapetasya, thus as the coverings due to all impurities is removed or vanish, the result is, क्या कहा उन्होंने, ज्ञानस्य अनंत्यात ज्ञेयम अल्पम, it results in the infinite knowledge, or we can say it results in the infinitude of knowledge. What remains to be known, ज्ञेयम अल्पम, what remains to be known is negligible. अब कुछ जानने के लिए नहीं है. So here knowledge is becoming limited because of rajoguna or tamoguna, actions and afflictions, the karma and the klesha, which are dominated by this raja and tama, they are creating lot of impurities, which covers the light of knowledge, like the clouds, covering the sun. Though we are experiencing light, but we are not experiencing the rays of sun. And what helps? Only the dominance of sattva. Only the dominance of sattva will help us to go towards elimination of that impurities. इसीलिए तो प्राणायाम के अभ्यास के बाद में पतंजलि मुनि ने कहा ततः शीयते प्रकाश आवरणम, और इसीलिए प्राणायाम का बहुत बड़ा महत्व है. तो कभी कभी आशुतोष सर बोलते हैं ना, ए I am still trying to gain confidence in teaching pranayam now. I have still not come to that level where I need to understand. You don't have to do or understand. You have to just practice. The things which are supposed to come as awareness, the more you are becoming proficient in the practice, automatically that will rise. The discriminative knowledge will become more and more. और इसीलिए तो वहां पर कहा गया धारणासु च योग्यता मनसाहा. Now your mind is ready to get into that phase of धारणा ध्यान समाधि. और प्राणायाम का इतना बड़ा महत्व है. सी, यहाँ पर बहिरंग योग के अंदर है प्राणायाम, प्रत्याहार, आसन एंड ऑल. लेकिन जैसे मैंने आसन का बताया, प्रयत्न शैथिल्यम अनंत समापत्ति. प्राणायाम में क्या कहते हैं, अतः शीयते प्रकाशावरणम. प्रत्याहार के लिए भी उन्होंने बताया ततः वश्यते इंद्रियाणाम. Oh, you will be able to master your senses. If everything is under control, obviously you are going to become focused. And that is where the Vivek Khyati comes in. It is attained with our regular practice, which leads us into that Dharma Megha Samadhi, which creates an uninterrupted awareness of the, discrimination or distinction between the seen and the seer, the Purusha and the Prakriti. As we have learned earlier, even if some traces of avidya is there for that sanyoga between Purusha and Prakriti, will also get eliminated. अगर वो भी एलिमिनेशन हो गया, फिर जानने के लिए रहा क्या दोस्तों? फिर तो ज्ञान ही ज्ञान है. देयर इज नथिंग टू बी नोन मोर. So with this understanding, as we go to the next sutra, which says tatah krutarthanam parinama krama samapattihi gunanam. Tah tatah krutharthanam, thus having fulfilled the purpose, the sequence of the transformation of the gunas comes to an end. अब देखो, हमने सेकेंड चैप्टर में we had understood that the purpose for which the gunas undergo continuous sequence of transformation is to give us the experiences bhoga and at the same time apavarga. Bhoga apavarga artham, ये हमने सेकेंड चैप्टर में पढ़ा. Now with the attainment of dharma meg samadhi, the purpose is fulfilled. हमको वो मिल गया. The sequence of somewhat you can say mutation of the gunas ceases forever. And with this cessation, what happens? A state of equilibrium is established between the three gunas. Samya avastha. Hence we can say that they have become pradhana prakriti. ये जो हमने थोड़ी देर पहले जो सूत्र पढ़े 31 और उसके पहले वाला 30 और अभी हम पढ़ रहे हैं 32, ये जो 3 सूत्र हैं, ये हमको एक तरीके से दे आर एक्सप्लेनिंग अस द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ धर्म मेघ समाधि. व्हाट आर द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स? यू कैन से डिस्क्रिमिनेटिव एनलाइटनमेंट, that is viveka khyati, freedom from klesha and karma, ananta jnana, infinite knowledge, and freedom from the effect of the gunas, or we are going away from the gunas, or we can say we are becoming gunatita. This sequence or the transformation of the gunas, the chitta vrittis are continuously produced. Continuous sequence and transformation is making us to go through chitta vrittis. And these chitta vrittis are presented before the Purusha, who appears to be witnessing the modifications. Now, when dharma meka samadhi is attained, the apparent act of witnessing stops. And when there is no witness, हम ऐसा बोलेंगे the show comes to an end. You are becoming the self. और वही बात जो है, if you come to the next sutra, it says क्षण प्रतियोगी परिणाम अपरांत निग्रह यह क्रमः. क्षण प्रतियोगी, this moment to moment change becoming perceptible after completion of the transformation is known as krama. As we know that gunas are mutative by their nature, but mutation taking place from one moment to the next moment is not perceptible. So the moment which is been given here as shana is the smallest unit of the time. The term here given as shana pratiyogi here in this sutra means the corresponding moment, change to every moment is not cognizable, is not seen. And after the flow of sufficient number of moments, we come across that mutation becoming cognizable. We can say now it is understood. A new thing, though getting old every moment, is perceived as the old thing only after sufficient passage of the time. But we need to understand the characteristic of the thing in the previous moment, remaining same in the present moment, will be carried forward in the next moment. Since everything is constituted of gunas and they are ever changing, the characteristics must change from moment to moment. And these changes happen in the sequential manner, serially. हमने थर्ड चैप्टर में we understood the concept of dharmi, the substratum. It remains same throughout the change, but the sequence krama means a serial order in which the mutation is taking place. जैसे हम एग्जाम्पल देते हैं, the child grows every moment, but his growth is pointed out only after some time when he looks really a young man. And after some time, he becomes an adult and then an old man. From childhood to youth, from youth to adulthood, and from adulthood to old age is recognized by certain new characteristics appearing in each stage. And these changes are occurring in the sequence. That is krama. But dharmi, that is the human being in the case, is remaining same. और एक मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया था, the flow of water. Just as the flow of water of the river appears continuous, the incessant flow of moments occurring in sequence, it gives us an illusion of continuity of the flow. Actually, time is discontinuous, as we discussed in the third chapter. A yogi performing sanyama on the moment and its sequence acquires the discriminative enlightenment, vivekajnanam, and he goes beyond time. ये हमने थर्ड चैप्टर में at last, when we were discussing about vivekajnanam, we came across this fact. The yogi knows the secret of this sequence, that is krama. He sees clearly that the mutation is brought about by rajas. Its latent impression is created by tamas, and it is recognized by sattva. So thus the time dimension is created due to the functioning of the gunas, that is prakriti. And when the yogi isolates himself from the sway of gunas, as we have understood here, he becomes gunatita. And when he becomes gunatita, he is no more bounded by time. He is free. He's going beyond. And thus we are coming to the explanation about Kaivalya, the last sutra of this fourth chapter, Kaivalya Pad. And what does it say? Purusharth Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavaha कैवल्यम स्वरूप प्रतिष्ठा वा चिति शक्तिर इति पुरुषार्थ शून्यानाम गुणानाम प्रतिप्रसव. The gunas having no objective to fulfill. You have come to that level now. The gunas are having no objective to fulfill now. So what will happen to them? They will go back to their unmanifested state. And as the Purusha gets established in his own form, own nature, that is pure consciousness, Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtha. So as he is established in his own nature, Kaivalya is there. Chiti Shaktir iti. It thus here it is marking an end. Iti. So the show of the gunas is for the sake of Purusha, the witness. They present a variety of experience and also indicating the direction towards liberation. Kaivalya. So when the witness is not interested in any more witnessing, देखने वाला अगर थिएटर में बैठा नहीं है तो जो पिक्चर चला रहा है वो चलाएगा क्या? नहीं, वो बोलेगा देखने के लिए कोई व्यूअर नहीं है तो इसलिए मैं ये चलाऊं अननेसेसरली, भले टाइम हो गया है शो का. सो व्हेन द पीपल टू विटनेस द मूवी दे आर नॉट देयर, or the people to witness the drama on the stage are not there, what will happen to the actors? They will withdraw from the stage and go home. So gunas are going home now. They are becoming one with the Prakriti. So when Purusha isolates from Prakriti, her manifestation serves no purpose. So the three gunas goes back to the original unmanifested state. And that's what we are saying here. What we say? The association with Purusha was responsible for the evolution. दृष्टु दृश्य संयोगो हेय हेतु, ये हमने पहले पढ़ा. The association with Purusha was responsible for the cause of the evolution. The gunas in perfect equilibrium were disturbed, and various evolutes in the form of intellect, ego, senses, mind, body, they all came into existence. Now as the gunas have regained their equilibrium through that prati prasava, that is counter evolution, what occurs is Prakriti goes back to the original unmanifested state, and that is known as Pradhana Prakriti. एक हिसाब से देखा जाए तो प्रकृति का ही लिबरेशन हुआ है. पुरुष तो अपनी स्वरूप अवस्था में आ गया. प्रकृति जो बेचारा पुरुष के साथ में एक होने की वजह से जो चंचल हो गई थी, एवोल्यूशन में आ गई थी, उसको भी सुकून मिल गया. So here even the Prakriti is coming to a state of unmanifested state, non-acting state. The word iti, which is given here, we know it means the end. And that's where we are coming to the end of the Kaivalya Pada. This Kaivalya Pada, right from making us understand the law of karmas, karma siddhanta, making us understand the importance of Viveka Khyati. From the third chapter, the Viveka Jnanam, continuing here in the fourth chapter, making us realize how to understand the whole situation and isolate from it, not getting into those latent impressions and flow, stopping yourself there. We are coming to that state of Dharma Megha Samadhi. And this Dharma Megha Samadhi leads you into that oneness of Swarupa Avastha. and once you are coming to that Swarup Avastha, Kaivalya is attained. तो ये बात तो हमको थर्ड चैप्टर में ही क्लियर हो गई थी, लेकिन पतंजलि मुनि को फिर से हमको समझाना था. And that's how it comes here to the end of the whole Yoga Sutra, to start with a new beginning. We should never say that यहाँ पर हमने ये टेक्स्ट को खत्म किया. We should say that let us read it again and find out what is there more to understand and bring changes into our day-to-day life. ये जो फिलोसॉफिकल बातें हैं ये अपनी जगह पर सही हैं. आप और मैं एक कॉमन इंसान है, तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए कि जैसे पतंजलि मुनि ने बताया ना कि सी अभ्यास एंड वैराग्य इज एसेंशियल. यू हैव टू डू द प्रैक्टिस एंड एट द सेम टाइम एक्सपीरियंस डिटैचमेंट. जैसे भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं योगस्तु कुरु कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा. The same principle has to be brought in our practice. We should do everything as per our dharma, but we should not get connected or attached to the results. The moment you do this, you become a witness. And because of this kind of witnessing attitude, as your Jivan Kal comes to an end, though you have become Jivan Mukta, you are still there with that Nirmana Chitta being active with every functioning of the material world. But you are out of it. You are aloof out of it. Completely aloof. तो अभ्यास, यम नियम का पालन, आसन प्राणायाम का अभ्यास, प्रत्याहार धारणा का अभ्यास, एक कोशिश हमेशा वो लेवल में जाके स्थित हो जाने की. नहीं तो कभी कभी मेरे स्टूडेंट आके मुझे पूछते हैं, सर आपने अभी मुझे देखा है, मैं 3 महीने से आपके साथ में प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूं, मुझे तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, लेकिन आपको मेरे में कुछ चेंज दिखाई दे रहा है क्या? तो हम क्या बोलते हैं कि मेरे में कुछ चेंज दिखाई दे रहा है. चेंज तो बहुत है, नो डाउट अबाउट इट, लेकिन मुझे तुम्हारा चेंज नहीं दिखना है. तुमको अपने अंदर महसूस करना है व्हाट आर यू एक्सपीरियंसिंग, और उसके लिए तुमको विवेक ख्याति की जरूरत. तो स्टूडेंट का मतलब क्या रहता है कि मेरे बॉडी के शेप में कुछ चेंज आया क्या, मेरे आचरण में कुछ चेंज दिख रहा है क्या? तो मैं एक बोलता हूं, मैं तो तुमको रोजाना तुम्हारी क्लास लेता हूं, रोजाना तुमको सिखाता हूं, मुझे इतना फर्क समझ में नहीं आएगा क्योंकि मुझे तुम रोज दिखाई देते हो. लेकिन ऐसे कोई इंसान को पूछो कि उसमें उसको क्या तुम में फर्क नजर आया, वो बोले नहीं नहीं सर, ये बात इसलिए तो हम आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कि आपको क्या फर्क दिखा, क्योंकि दूसरे बोल रहे हैं अरे आजकल तुमको गुस्सा नहीं आता, आजकल तुम इरिटेट नहीं होते, यू आर नॉट गेटिंग इंस्टिगेटेड, यू आर नॉट गेटिंग प्रोवोक्ड. तो फिर मैंने पूछा, देन व्हाट डू यू टोल्ड देम? आई टोल्ड देम दैट आई एम प्रैक्टिसिंग योगा अंडर साबिर शेख. मैं बोला नॉट अंडर साबिर शेख, साबिर शेख इज जस्ट अ मीडियम, यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग योगा under the sake, under the medium, and there are medium existing around us. We should take the initiative of those mediums and get into that level and just feel the change. What is that change? Being with Prakriti is an experience, that is bhoga, and being separated from Prakriti is also an experience, that is an apavarga. And that experience is the experience of witnessing, जो आज हमने डिस्कस किया. And we go beyond that witnessing and settle down. There is nothing to experience anymore. So this is how we are coming to end of this Yoga Sutra. I hope you people have got connected to it. But reading it again and again will help you to fathom it in a deeper sense and will really help. So it is already 12 also. So we are finishing in time and we will do the what we call as summary भी हम एक बार करेंगे उसकी. वैसे तो summary हमने अभी की 4th chapter की, but at the same time we will still do the summary of the whole Yoga Sutra as such, right from the 1st chapter to the 4th chapter. And then we will start with Hiranya Samhita in the next class itself. Summary करने के लिए ज्यादा समय नहीं लगेगा, 15-20 मिनट की समरी करेंगे ताकि हम जब केरंड संहिता को पढ़ें तो षटकर्म से लेकर समाधि तक जो रूट हम तय करने वाले हैं थ्रू आसन, थ्रू मुद्रा, थ्रू प्रत्याहार, थ्रू प्राणायाम, ये एक अलग ही जर्नी हमारी बनने वाली है. कनेक्शन इज सेम, लेकिन एक्सपीरियंस विल बी डिफरेंट एज इट विल बी मोर प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच, एंड दैट यू आर गोइंग टू एंजॉय मोर. यहाँ पर फिलोसॉफिकल अप्रोच था, घेरंड संहिता में जो है प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच बहुत आएगा. ये आसन कैसे करना चाहिए, वो आसन कैसे करना चाहिए, ये सारी बातें जब हमारे सामने आती तो वो हमारे इंटरेस्ट का होता है, वो हमको अच्छा लगता है सुनने के लिए. दैट इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू गो थ्रू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. थैंक यू.
So this is the end of the 4th chapter. Iti Shri Patanjali Yoga Darshanam Kaivalya Pad Namo Chaturthodhyaya. So we may